And this is the video comparison between the Nexus 6P and the iPhone 6S. Now, the iPhone 6S is Apple's flagship device. This is their go-to device. This is their flagship. And as a flagship, I think Apple is lacking a little bit compared to the Nexus, and we're gonna get right into that. Now, the Nexus 6P, new kid on the block. This is the newest Nexus made by Huawei, and is definitely an intriguing device. This visor adds to the beauty of the phone. It looks good. This is a beautiful chamfered edges, aluminum build, cold to the touch. It honestly feels and looks premium. 6S is also aluminum, good feeling, curved edges. No more chamfered, but Apple definitely know how to do chamfered edges. But they gone with this, curve, and it definitely makes the phone feel good in the hand. And also, you have a screen that is 4.7 inch, 750 screen. And having a screen that's not 1080p in 2015 is an issue. Having a screen that's not Quad HD in 2015 is an issue. And while Android phones won't get away with that, Apple still continues to get away with having a lower resolution screen because they quote unquote call it Retina display. That's just a gimmick. Now, when you're watching video with a Quad HD, first of all, this is 5.7 inch Quad HD, so you got a full inch over the iPhone. Now, it's not about size. It's about flagship versus flagship. This is Google's flagship, made by Huawei. This is the Nexus 6P. And Quad HD display versus 750. Versus 750. That is the issue that we're talking about here. Now, $500 phone versus a $750 phone, or you could say $650, the starting price. So $650. It's a big difference. It is a definite big difference. But we're gonna get into this like it's a regular comparison. So when it comes to the screen, we gotta give it to the Nexus. The Nexus definitely wins. When it comes to the size, the Nexus is bigger, but that's no win right there. That's not necessarily a win. Between which phones feel more weighty, they both feel weighty. They both got some little heft to it, which makes it feel good. But with one-handed usability, we definitely got to give it to the iPhone 6. Now, when it comes to the build of both phones is absolutely gorgeous. The button placement, I have no issue with either phone, and both buttons are definitely premium. The buttons are premium on both devices. When it comes to Lightning and USB-C, they both doing the job. They're both beautiful. I really like both of them when it comes to the connectors. Now, when it comes to the speakers, let's get right into it. When it comes to the speakers, you got the one bottom speaker here on the iPhone, which definitely sound impressive. But you know what? Your one speaker adds up to one of these speakers, which the iPhone with its good one speaker can't compare to two speakers. Dual speakers here. This stereo speakers front facing is awesome. It's absolutely awesome. You're gonna get better sound. You're gonna enjoy the sound better from this type of front facing dual speaker setup on the Nexus 6P. Now, when it comes to the cameras, let's get right into the cameras. You have 12.3 megapixels versus 12 megapixels. Now, they both don't have OIS, but I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get better night shots from the Nexus 6P. The Nexus 6P got some excellent night shots. You know, I was amazed. I'm trying to take a picture of a dark area to show how dark it is, and the camera made it brighter than what I really wanted it to look like. You know, so it kind of took away how dark I wanted the scene to be, which the scene ended up to be brighter than what I expected. Because of this low light, this phone's able to take great pictures in low light. Now the iPhone, in low light, you start to see a lot of graininess through the screen, and it looks terrible. The iPhone in dark situations has took 2 steps back versus the previous 8 megapixels. It took a step back. So the day shots are more improved on the iPhone than the previous iPhone, but the day shots are not matching up to the Nexus 6P. It's absolutely not. So when it comes to camera, performance, and everything, I gotta give it to the 6P. The 6P, in my opinion, has surpassed the iPhone. Period. The 6P has surpassed it. The front-facing cameras, you got 5 megapixel camera in the front of the iPhone. 5 megapixel camera in the front with this built-in flash is an improvement for 2015. Definitely, it had to be done by iPhone, but you know what? You're not beating a camera that's 8 megapixels in the front. 8 megapixels in the front with this Nexus 6P is outdoing the Apple's 5 megapixel. The pictures just come out crystal clear, real nice on this phone. Instantly, when you're on a video call, the person asks you, man, how you're coming out so good. Instantly, they tell you. So right from there, you know that you got a great front-facing camera with the Nexus 6P. So in camera, front and back, the Nexus is in full control. Speakers, screen, the Nexus is in full control. Battery life, obviously bigger phone, gonna have a bigger battery. It's gonna have more battery power than a phone that's 4.7 inches. So on battery life, with the new Doze feature, you can get up to 18 hours with the Nexus 6P, which the Apple iPhone, really using the phone very moderately, you can probably last 14 hours with the Apple. You can probably kill it in about 10 hours if you're using it very heavy, which on the 6P, you can also kill it in 10 hours. But if you use it moderately, you'll definitely go longer than the Apple 6S. So when it comes to battery life, gotta give it to the Nexus. Now, when it comes to the fingerprint scanner, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm giving the nod to Apple, but this fingerprint scanner is on point. This fingerprint scanner, you can honestly never get it wrong. No matter what angle you originally set it up as, upside down, you can get this thing to recognize your finger. You don't have to have an exact angle. All you gotta do is put your finger down and you got it. But the reason why I give it to the Apple iPhone, because it's in the back, it's a learning curve. There's no learning curve when it comes to the Apple iPhone 6 in the front. In the front, you know where to put your finger. You don't have to search behind the phone, which technically I don't really search behind the phone. I instantly find it. But because Apple got it in the front, their technology has been around longer. Their Apple Pay is much more than Android Pay. They're far ahead, even though they came late in the game. I gotta give it to the Apple when it comes to the fingerprint scanner. So, when it comes to the processor, when it comes to the speed of each of these phones, I gotta give it to the Apple. The A9 processor is super fast, super quick. but we got to take in consideration that they're not pushing a 1080p screen. They're not pushing a quad HD screen. They're pushing a 750p screen. Also, the processor is not pushing a heavy OS. Is not pushing, like with the Note, is not pushing anything extras. You know, it's just a basic, simple processor. So, pretty much when it comes to the processor, the A9 is definitely quicker than the Snapdragon 810 version 2, which this is, but this is no slouch. This is a definitely fast phone, and it's definitely improved with the extra gig of RAM, 3 gigs of RAM versus 2, and the RAM management on the Nexus 6P is definitely on point. But we all know Apple knows how to do management when it comes to RAM. So I'm going to give it to Apple on that. But there's one situation I need to go back on. This situation, this Force Touch technology is, listen, certain times companies, when they lack it in some areas, they got to do something to get the customers in. And this Force Touch technology is a good improvement to a certain extent, but it's not 100% useful. So I call it a gimmick. There's no reason to get a phone for this feature. There's no reason to go from the iPhone 6 to the 6S for this reason. You know, so it's not a deal breaker. It's not, for me, it's not doing anything for me. Even their own app, FaceTime, they have no feature for that. Of course, directions, mark location, stuff like that. I could see this coming in handy, but really and truly, it's not for me. It's not for me. So with the Android, I mean, fingerprint scanner, that's the new thing. Improved cameras, battery life, those feature. Everything here is useful. With the Apple iPhone, really these features of having a GIF. You can make GIF with your camera app. You can make HTC Zoe, because basically it's like a Zoe. You know, this little 3-second GIF that you can make with the camera automatically. As soon as you go into the camera, you can do that GIF. It's automatically pressed. But you know what? That extra feature is gonna, guess what? Take a lot of battery life. It's gonna take a lot of battery life. So there you go. Right there. You're gonna, sorry, it's not gonna take extra, it's gonna take extra battery life as you're using the phone, but it's gonna take more gigs. It's gonna take more gigs. So 16 gigs is not enough. And when it comes to price, have a phone for $500 than to have a phone for $650. Starting price $650. The next tier is 64 gigs at $750 for the iPhone 6 that doesn't even have a 1080p screen. That has a camera that went backwards. That's not as good as, it's as good, maybe a little bit better than the previous camera. But when it comes to camera technology, Samsung, LG got it locked. And when all this dust clears, when everything clears and people start to realize the Nexus 6 has one of the baddest cameras on the block. The Nexus 6 may not be surpassing the LG G4 or the V10 or the Samsung Galaxies, but you know what? It's right there behind them. And with Apple holding down the back. So with that, guys, this is my review comparison of the Huawei Nexus 6P versus the Apple iPhone 6S. And you know what? At the end of the day, the Nexus has won this battle because this is an all-around better phone, at a cheaper price than the iPhone 6s. See you guys in the next one.